With the recent price increases with USPS, I thought it was a good idea to make a video on how to maybe utilize some things that can help you save some money. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin Ain't Easy. And in this video, I wanted to talk to you about things that I do to maybe decrease my costs with shipping. I think one of the biggest things that we tend to do, and that's whether you're a beginner or someone that's been doing this for years, is we sort of overlook different opportunities to maybe save some money when it comes to this business. And shipping is one of those things. So for me, there's a combination of different things that I do on a daily basis that saves me some money. And hopefully you guys can take any one of these tips and utilize it into what you're currently doing, and hopefully it'll make a difference for you, because any penny saved is a penny earned in this business. And shipping is just one of those things that is probably the one thing that I don't enjoy doing in this business. But when you have to do it, you have to do it. It's a good sign that you're actually succeeding in this business when you have a lot of things to ship. I just came back, and pardon my voice, I just came back from Southern California, visited some family, took care of some friend time, some family time, and went to the Monday Night Football game, and thus my voice and the fact that I'm just now putting out a video rather than a couple days ago, because my voice just wasn't where it needs to be to make a video, and it still isn't 100%. So please bear with me. Most of us are using eBay's labels. Now that's when you go to run your shipments, it'll say print label, and then it'll give you the option to buy a USPS priority mail label, first class label, medium mail label, maybe a UPS ground label, maybe a FedEx home label, that type of thing, depending on how big or small your item might be. And that's great. And if you're a top rated seller, you're going to get discounts that eBay has negotiated on your behalf. That's going to save you quite a bit of money as compared to the whole retail thing that I was just telling you about. But I have to say, most of us know about that as well. But what you should also consider is that there are other options out there above and beyond what eBay's offering you that is going to save you a pretty good amount of money over time. And one of those options would be pirateship.com. And that is a free website. You have to go and sign up, doesn't cost you anything. And you can go on there and utilize their cheaper rates, utilizing what is called cubic shipping. And cubic shipping is more along the lines of the size of the package rather than the weight. It's a really good option to use when you have a really heavy item that might be in sort of more of a cubular, if that's even a word, size box, or even maybe a poly bag where you can utilize what is called the soft pack. And that's utilizing a poly bag envelope, utilizing cubic rates, utilizing an envelope where there's only 2 dimensions entered in rather than 3 dimensions when you're dealing with a box. And there's another site that I deal with larger packages. It's shippo.com. I think like the first month or 2 is free, and then you pay like $10 a month. But I've noticed that the UPS ground shipping rates are actually cheaper than the discounted top-rated seller UPS ground rates that you see with eBay labels. And I'm talking maybe $2, $3 per package. I would say over the last month, I've probably shipped out like 40 or 50 large items. And I've done almost all my labels through shippo.com, mainly because what you pay for with Shippo is what you pay for. You're not charged anything more like you are with eBay. You know, they might come back with some hidden charges, and I was having a lot of problems with that last year and early this year. Don't have those problems anymore because my dimensions are correct that I enter in, my weights are correct. So I don't have to worry about them coming back with some hidden charges. And it's been a great thing for me. So, they're not sponsoring this video by any means, but I would definitely look into Shippo for your larger packages and pirateship.com for your packages that are maybe under 3 pounds, that kind of thing, because it will save you some money over the long run on certain packages when you look at those, and don't just get caught up in what eBay offers you. The next thing that you should really look into is the idea of utilizing USPS's priority mail flat rate envelopes and boxes. Now, I don't really utilize a lot of the flat rate boxes because of the whole pirate ship angle. I utilize the cubic shipping, but I use this quite a bit. And this is your flat rate padded envelope. And now with the rate increases, I think it's now over like $8. But anything that fits in this envelope, and of course you have to make sure it seals up, okay? You can't have the items sticking out or whatever. It has to seal in this envelope. And, I could fit, not to say I would ship it like this, but, I could ship something like this in this envelope, seal it shut, and we're good, And I've never had an issue. I've never had someone complain about me shipping, electronic item in here. These are great to have. I ordered these from USPS.com. One thing that I would recommend to you guys is to go onto USPS.com and create an account if you haven't done so already, and order your free supplies. Whether you want some boxes that are flat rate, like A, B, that type of thing, based on region, but make sure you get some of these envelopes because they are awesome. They're very easy to utilize. You store your item in, seal it up, and you're on your way. You save a lot of time with shipping with these, and I probably ship out using maybe about 5 or 6 per day on items that I ship out. So it's something that I would look into. Certainly have some boxes and some of these envelopes on hand so that when you have that unique item that might be quite heavy, but maybe small enough to fit into that envelope, it's going to save you some money. Rather than paying $12, $13, $14, $15, you're paying $8 and change and you're all set. One mistake I see a lot of people make when it comes to shipping is, and this is more of a beginner mistake, but us veterans can get caught up on it too, and that is not building enough shipping into your cost when you're doing free shipping, and not charging enough for shipping when you're charging shipping separate on top of the cost of the item. And most of my items are the cost of the item plus shipping. I charge for shipping on most of my items. On items that are under a pound, depending on the item, I will either utilize free shipping and build that into the price, or I will add $4.99, maybe $6.99 for the heavier items. Now, first class is anywhere between 0 and 15 ounces, but with eBay, if you buy it through eBay shipping, they'll give you up to that 1 pound mark. So if you're buying your labels, any other way, from what I've noticed, other than eBay on first class, it's going to be 1 pound is priority. So just something to keep in mind on that. What I do is I will go in and I will have the dimensions of the item that I'm going to be shipping, and then I will take a location, like maybe an old address I've used. What I've done lately is I started to utilize the address to this freight forwarder that I seem to ship to quite often in Doral, Florida. Since I'm out here in Vegas, to me, it seems like anytime I get a customer in Florida, they're buying my heaviest items. And for me, I'd rather plug in a Doral, Florida, Miami address and see what it would cost me to ship an item out that's that big and that heavy. And I do that homework while I'm doing the listing so that I know that if I happen to ship that particular item to, in this case, Florida, how much it's going to cost me as a worst case scenario. And then what I do is I assign my shipping policy I have set up that would match or be as close to that cost as possible. without really going over a whole lot. Because see, I developed a hybrid shipping policy system. I start off with $4.99 for your smaller first class items. I then go up to $6.99 for your larger first class items. I then have $9.99 for your items that are between 1 and 3 pounds. I've then developed a $14.99 shipping policy that is for your items that are 3 to like 7, 8 pounds. I've created a $19.99 policy. I have a $24.99 and a $29.99. What I do is I figure out what that worst case scenario would be by plugging in that address. Let's say on shippo.com is one example, or even Pirate Ship if I'm doing USPS. And it'll give me an idea of what that will cost me if I happen to ship out to that location. And then I assign the closest shipping policy to that particular listing so that I'm not getting burned at the end. And you know, when it comes to free shipping, I try to avoid that when I can. And again, only utilize free shipping on items that I know are going to be first class. So no matter what, I'm not going to get hit with big charges. And that's worked out for me. And just maybe a suggestion that you do, figure out, based on what part of the country you're in, what area tends to cost you more when you run labels, and maybe go onto one of these sites like shippo.com or Pirate Ship, plug that address in along with the weight and dimensions, and see what kind of price that you're going to have to pay for that package, and then assign that price to your shipping costs when you're creating your listing. Now, a lot of you guys like to use boxes, and I know that you get your boxes anywhere. You get them, you know, online. Maybe you dumpster dive, but I try not to use boxes unless the item comes with a box. I generally won't go out of my way to buy boxes. Sometimes I'll have boxes laying around here and I'll use them every so often. But what I usually do is, instead of utilizing a box, which can actually add up to a pound to your actual shipping weight, I will utilize bubble wrap along with various different size poly bags. And I'll sort of turn my item into like a little squishy pillow with enough bubble wrap. I mean, I won't go crazy on it. Maybe a couple layers of bubble wrap is sufficient. And then I'll find the right size poly bag and I'll just put the item into that poly bag. And what's good about that, if your item still resembles an envelope, you can utilize the pirateship.com envelope option, which is sort of considered, they call a soft pack. And as long as your item isn't over 18 inches in any given dimension before you actually use or close the envelope for the item, then you're going to be fine. But even if I'm just using eBay labels on that, I notice that, you know, the item gets there just fine. I don't have any complaints. You know, it's a very rare situation for me. And I ship out poly bags every day. Probably about 60% of my items, 60 to 70% of my items are shipped via poly bag or bubble wrap with poly bag. I'll use the eBay tape as well to help mold my package. This is an example of sort of what I'm talking about. This actually happens to be a seat cushion, one of those fancy seat cushions that I put into a poly bag, and I then wrapped it with the eBay tape around it, sort of to mold to the actual package inside. And then I've put a layer of clear tape. And I do that for USPS because they don't want the poly bags can get poofy and caught up into their machines. So I'll add the layer of tape to this so that that doesn't happen. Now, I don't do that for USPS packages. I'll just utilize the eBay tape around the poly bag so that it forms to the package. And it looks quite nice, actually. If you have a box in a bag, it works the same way. But I have a layer of bubble wrap, usually a layer or two, depending on what it is. And that really helps protect the item. And I don't use a lot of boxes. I get away with it. It works just fine. So hopefully that information has given you some kind of insight on maybe how to save a little bit more money than you already have been. With eBay, doing their thing, constantly adding fees to what we're having to deal with. And now the post office is adding fees to, the cost of shipping. It's becoming more difficult to become competitive or to be competitive in this business. I want to give you a bonus tip here, but before I do, please do me a favor, comment down below if you have something to add to this video. Maybe there's a tip that works for you that I haven't mentioned that's saving you some money. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so when I make another video, which will be very soon, you'll be notified when that happens. So this particular tip, it's not so much as to saving you money on the label itself, but it's just a tip that some of you guys aren't aware of. And I hear that many of you guys are making trips to the post office. If you have daily sales, you can go on to USPS.com. Of course, you should have created an account by now if you're taking advantage of the free supplies. Go on, and there should be an option under your account that will allow you to arrange a pickup. And you can go in there, select whatever dates you want. I happen to do Monday through Friday. I do not do any shipments on weekends. Someone buys something on Friday, that thing's going out on Monday. And so the USPS carrier, my postal carrier, will come to my door. Usually it's the same person. Sometimes they have a relief person. But by having that request in with USPS.com, whoever that carrier is for you that day is notified that they are to go to your door, and usually you'll have an X amount of packages that you plan on having. I'll just set it at 10, maybe 5 priority, 5 first class. If you have less or if you have more, it's no big deal. They're gonna come to your door and pick it up, and I have that set for the remainder of the year. So I kind of do it in 6-month increments, so I don't have to deal with it anymore. And my post office is literally 5 miles away from me. That's the closest one. My UPS store is like just maybe a block away. So I don't necessarily need to do that so much for UPS, even though I think they charge for that service. But USPS, your mail carrier, will not charge you additional as long as you have it set up for them to come to your house at the time that they come to your house to deliver the rest of your mail. If you want them to come at, let's say, a later time, which is outside that window when they usually come to your house, then they will charge you. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but since I can be flexible, I do my shipping the night before, and then anything left over or sold overnight while I'm asleep or early that morning, I'll do when I get up prior to my mailman coming to the door, and it just works out for me. And then any UPS packages, at the end of my day, I'll just take a 5-minute trip down the street, drop it off, they scan it, and all's well with the world. If I had to drive 5 miles each way every day to go drop off my packages so that I knew they were going to get scanned in, it would be just nuts. See, it may not seem like that big of a deal to take your packages in, but if you're using 30, 40 minutes round trip, standing in line or dealing with the kiosk or whatever, however you do it, that's time you can spend maybe doing something else. Maybe you can spend that 30, 40 minutes sourcing a little bit more. Maybe you can list a couple, 2, 3 more items. It's just a tip because time is money in this business. And the more you can utilize your time in such a way where it's being utilized for you to make money, then, it's going to save you or make you money in the long run. So guys, that's what I have for you today. Hopefully, like I said, this information is helpful. Some of you veterans out there, have your system down, don't even need any of this information. Please comment down below, give us some tips so that we can be more efficient with our shipping. Because like I said before in many videos, I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you what I'm doing. And if maybe you can take 1 or 2 of my tips and make what you're doing a little easier, then hey, it was worth it for me. So guys, that's all I have. I want to thank you for watching this far in the video. And no matter how you decide to ship, just know that flipping ain't easy, and we're going to talk to you here very soon.